Hi there guys, and welcome back to the Red and Blue Site YouTube channel for the first Palace preview of the new mini season, if you like, the run-in. After our long absence from football, we are of course back with a bang as well. The Wednesday fixtures, you go from one extreme, which was quite boring 0-0, although massive controversy in that one between Aston Villa and Sheffield United, to the really hectic, everything happened in the next game. Arsenal, Man City at home to Arsenal. Goals, red cards, penalties, injuries, everything happened in that game. So we start off the Premier League, or the Premier League returns, with a bang. I'm so excited, guys. We are just a day away from Palace continuing the Premier League away to Bournemouth, a game that I think we got to realistically look at as I wouldn't say must win, but go into it with that mentality, because I think that a win against Bournemouth sets us on the right path. You know, we finished, if you cast your mind back, way back, of course, to where we finished off the season before the lockdown came into play and football was stopped. We had 3 wins in a row, 3 1-0 wins in a row. Newcastle, Watford and Brighton, of course. 3 massive wins, and if we can make it 4 wins out of 4, all of a sudden you're looking up the table. We're not going to get relegated now. I think we've definitely got enough points, and there's definitely teams below us that are going to be in a relegation battle for now to the end of the season, and I don't think we're going to get sucked into it. But it's all about how high can we finish, and for me, I think that a win against Bournemouth is crucial to any chance we have of finishing in and around those European places. And of course, the next game we have in midweek after Bournemouth will be Liverpool. But anyway, focusing on this Bournemouth game, taking what I've seen already from the Aston Villa game against Sheffield United and the Arsenal game against City, it's interesting. Of course, Sheffield United deserved to win that game. They were robbed of the most obvious goal, and it backs up my point that the refs in this country are not very good at all, and I think that they're very much overhyped by the FA and by other associations. But I think that's looking at the game, Aston Villa in the second half, for large portions of the second half, were definitely the better team. Had met a lot more shots at goal, a lot more shots on target, and really did threaten a scoreline. You know, they looked the more likely team to score, I think, in the second half, albeit both teams weren't very good on the day, and Sheffield United did have injuries to some of their key players, and they definitely weren't at the boil. But what I took away from that is that I think the teams that come back from this break fitter and more, at game speed, get to game speed quicker, are going to be the ones that see the most success out of this restart, this project restart that we're going to be a part of course. And I think Villa looked the fitter team at times. I know that Sheffield United, they're one of the fittest teams in the league. So I think when you see them drop in performance levels, that was them playing quite poorly, I thought, and they still managed to get a 0-0 draw away from home in the Premier League. So I think that just shows how good Wilder's team has been this season, and again, I've always said it, but Sheffield United being the standout team for me. But that being said, Aston Villa, I think, did look at times fitter. They looked a little bit quicker to the match speed, and there's definitely in defence, they looked comfortable. They didn't look like Sheffield United didn't really cause them any problems apart from the big howler the keeper made. So putting that into the Palace context, and the same with City. City definitely looked like especially when the injuries started happening for Arsenal, you could tell those injuries happening are a sign that the team aren't really fully fit, that aren't ready for the season to come back, because they weren't contact injuries. They're injuries that were made by the players themselves, or little tweaks that maybe if they were stronger, fitter, ready for the season to start, then it may not have happened, So taking that into our game against Bournemouth is going to be so crucial for me to see how we play. I think we're looking fit, we're looking ready to go from the training footage that the club has shown. Of course, that doesn't show everything that happens in training, but it's a good idea, it gives you a good perspective on what's to come in the fixtures. And I think that we do look fit, we look happy. The squad looks, I think we've got all our players back, bar maybe Townsend. I think the whole squad is back to full fitness, which is great, because it's been ages since we've had a fully fit squad, and a full, squad to pick from for a starting 11. So Roy's got a big decision to make. I'll get into my predicted start lineup in just a second. But just looking at how the game's going to go, as I've already mentioned, fitness and how quickly teams can get back to the speed of the Premier League and match speed in general is going to be crucial. And I think it will, if teams that come back fitter and quicker and ready for the season, more so than the other teams, we'll probably have a 2 or 3 game advantage on those teams. It's going to probably take most teams 2 or 3 games to get back to match speed. So if you can get there quicker than other teams, you've got a massive advantage, I think, in some of these games. So it'll be really interesting to see how we shape up. I think it's going to be quite a cagey game, very low scoring. I can see it being a 1-0 either way because obviously it's the first game back. It's almost like a mini pre-season we've just had. If I'm going into my predicted lineup, before we look at the Bournemouth side and what I think they will do in the game, I do think that I've had a long thought about this, and I do think that this is the team I'd like to see, bearing in mind, you know, the video I've just done on the Palace Daily a couple of days ago about the youth that Roy wants to integrate into the team, which is great music to my ears and music to all you guys' ears, I'm sure. So bearing that in mind, I'd like to see this starting 11. White in goal, of course. Ward, Sacco, I think Sacco's fully fit now. Sacco alongside Cahill and Van Aanholt at left back. Possibly Tyreek Mitchell. But I do think that to get off to a good start, he may want Van Aanholt in there. I'm still torn whether Tyreek Mitchell or Van Aanholt will start there, but I'm happy with either. Midfield 3, Lucas sitting, MacArthur, Kouyaté further ahead. They have been the starting 3 for me this season. They've managed to seal those spots, and deservedly so. And then the front 3, Ayew up front. I don't think he's going to start Benteke, but he could do. Zaha one side, and I'm going to go with Pierrick to start the other side. So I do think that we could see Pierrick maybe on the right wing, Zaha on the left wing, and Tyreek Mitchell starting at left back. I think they're the two players right now, I think, with the biggest chance of getting game time. And I'd love to see them get at least some minutes off the bench against Bournemouth. And, you know, maybe a few others on the bench as well. So that's how I see us setting up. Of course, comment your thoughts down below. Do you like that starting 11? 4-3-3 with a couple of youth players in there, but mainly fully fit squad for the rest of the positions. Saka coming back into the team, I think, what may well be his last few games at Palace. Well, when this season finishes, he may be moving on, obviously, to the French league. Check out Back of the Nest, guys. I've done some videos with DR on there about the transfer talks and all the transfer rumours around Palace. So talk about Sacco was on there. So go and check out the Back of the Nest channel for more on that. But yeah, that's how I see us setting up with Bournemouth. And looking at the Bournemouth camp, obviously we've spoken to this, myself and DR, on Back of the Nest as well. The whole situation around Ryan Fraser is massive, I think, for this game, because it looks like it's got the feeling of a big falling out, because he's not signed this really short-term extension to his contract to see out the rest of the games of this season. He said, no, I'm not signing that, I'm definitely leaving at the end of the month. So he will be available for the game against Palace. Whether Eddie Howe picks him is another story completely, because obviously him turning that down, him wanting to force out the move, which he has been doing since January, around then when rumours of Spurs being interested arose, and Everton, teams like that, a step up for him in his career. It looks like he wants to jump ship, and he's not really doing it in the best way. He could at least see out this season with Bournemouth, but it clearly looks like he's thinking about himself more than the team, and that you don't know what sort of rift that could have. Some players could fall out with him over that, because he is going to be available. He is going to be part of the matchday squad you expect in this. Eddie Howe could take him out altogether, and if he does, he's one of their better players on the day. That would benefit us. Of course, you don't know. This is speculation. I do think that having these little troubles in the camp and potential rifts in the squad, albeit with a player who's going to leave very shortly, it's not the best way to prepare for the return to the season. So that's something you got to bear in mind. And I think that players like David Brooks will be back from injury. I really rate him highly. He scored a screamer last season against us when I went down to Brighton and vlogged the game. Ripper to make it 1-0. So he's one to watch for me. And I think that Callum Wilson on his day, of course, can cause any team problem. And they've got players coming back from injury. They need the points. They're in a real scrap in a relegation battle. But I do think that we will be more prepared because of their Ryan Fraser, the problems they have there. I just feel like we'll be better prepared for this game than they will be. There's less pressure on us. Just go out there, relax, give the ball to Zaha. No crowd to, have a go at him. Sometimes that helps when he has a crowd having to go at him. And obviously comment your thoughts below how you think Wilf in particular will perform with no crowds. Will he perform even better because he's not having people have a go at him? Although when we have seen people have a go at him in the crowds, he's almost turned it up a level to prove them wrong. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. There's so many things that we don't know how it's going to pan out. A lot of things that could happen and could not happen. It's very hard to preview the game. For me, though, I'm going to put in a scoreline prediction, and as I said, I do think it'll be a low-scoring game because it's the first game back. Naturally, it's going to take, even doesn't matter how fit or well prepared you are compared to other teams. I think every team are going to come back and need to get going. As it will take a game at least to get going. As I said, the fitter and more prepared teams will benefit from less games to get ready than, you know, other teams. So I do think the scoreline will be 1-0 to Palace. But obviously, put your score predictions down below, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I know there's a lot of support overseas, and for you guys watching overseas and watching it wherever you are tomorrow, I will be doing a watch along. I don't know how it's going to work out because I've not done one before, but let's just give it a go, hey? It's going to be on the BBC, so stay tuned for that, and obviously stay tuned on the channel for the watch along. Probably an hour or so before kickoff I'll start that up, so really exciting stuff. Watch the game with me if you like, and we can see hopefully Palace get off to a bang and continue our journey up the league. So fingers crossed on that. Thank you guys so much for watching, your amazing support as well. Like, share, subscribe, comment your thoughts on the game down below, your previews and your score predictions, your team predictions, and I'll see you guys next time tomorrow for the game.